Good morning. I'm higher vibrations, and so are you. And Happy New Year. There's been so much cool energy coming through for this New Year time. It also has brought in a lot of uh, clearing. And so a lot of individuals have been reporting things that have to do with purging, moving the energy through. Um, and also, there have been a lot of new coming online, awakening individuals that have been kind of just appearing during this energy peak. And so, as that's occurring, a lot of us are feeling them as they're coming on. And those of you who are in this new experience and not really sure what's going on, you know, there are a variety of different things that can assist you. However, the first thing that I always like to convey is the term dark night of the soul. That really helps us to understand what's happening, what we're going through, and that we can actually face it with in an intentional way. And that is through using shadow work. Shadow work is a way to look forward or straight on at this experience as it's coming in. Hello, Cool Deep. Welcome. Happy New Year. Fenya, Happy New Year to you as well. Bob, hey, good to see you. Happy New Year. And also Faith, good morning from I actually can't say that, but she's in Australia. She's in a county in Australia. And Janie, Happy New Year. Welcome. It's good to see everybody. Um, one of the oh, and also details and art tattoo. Happy New Year to you. It's such an amazing energy, isn't it? This new space, as we moved into it, I felt a moving through a filament, as if we were emerging from water in some energetic way. And with that comes the stuff that we need to process, the things that still need to be addressed, healed, just looked at. And so as that's happening, some of us have felt that the energy was unpleasant. And that's not the intention. Those things are just coming up for you to see it, as this washing off space, this energy, this light moves in and changes. Um, as a result, even those who are in a space of euphoria, the exhaustion level is there's no comparison. I am overwhelmed by this tired sensation. It's not even that pronounced until I sit down, and it feels like almost like I have narcolepsy. I'm asleep. I'm just, and then that's only for a moment. It's just an interesting experience. So the profound exhaustion is really coming up a lot. Spooky Serpent on Fire. Hi, new here. Blessings to all. Welcome to you. Spooky Serpent on Fire. I love that name. That's actually really cool. Faith says, wow, I feel like I just dragged myself out after a long swim. Jelly legs. Yeah. And Cool Deep feels blah. There's this like, and that blah energy too. I've had that. It for me, it comes up just like temporarily, like almost like I want to call it a burst, but that sounds a little bit more like large. It just it's a gentle up and then back out as it's coming up. That blah is for us to look at something, whatever that something is that we're not having not seen before or let ourselves to look at before. And so, so you know, that energy is kind of a GPS. There's If you look back throughout your experience, just in this lifetime, you'll notice that every block of a window of space and the phase of your experience here, there's this foundational emotion, right? And we don't even realize it was uncomfortable or blah until we leave it and visit it again. And so a lot of us are doing that right now. We're going back to that because we're in between. We're moving through something into the next phase of our development. So there's a lot of that going on. Tan- Tanya, welcome. She says, Happy New Year. And Janie, I'm sorry that you're struggling. There is a lot that needs to be looked at coming up for many individuals right now. Perhaps that is some of what, for anybody who does feel like that they would love to connect, by the way, tomorrow we are meeting again. We have another free Zoom meeting for anyone interested. That will be at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when we will start, and that goes for 3 hours. I will have a post up in my community section on this channel after not too long after I'm done with this live. So just so you all know that that's available. it's a beautiful way to connect. You don't have to have your camera on or your audio on. You can type and I'll be your voice. It's a way to know that you're not alone, and to even just, it's amazing how it works. We show up when we're supposed to, right? And so many people come to those meetings struggling with something, but still not wanting to speak or to say what's going on. And then hearing all of these people talking about the same struggle, and also how they did it, how they got through it, and succeeded through that energy. So it's really helpful. Anyone who's interested. Eric. Eric says, is anyone experiencing itchy eyes and ears? And yes, I'm feeling tired during the day and can't sleep well at night. I can't sleep well at night either. It's the strangest experience. Yes. So the itchiness, a lot of the itchiness I found for me, this is my experience. I'm not a doctor. Though in my experience, when the itchy stuff is happening, those are areas for two different reasons. It's either a chakra activation, or it is a healing experience that's happening. A lot of us have a lot of toxins that we have picked up along the way, just in this lifetime. That's just how it works. And as our body is done with that and doesn't really feel like it's in as much harmony with our form as before, it just needs to move through. And so we'll have that healing experience and that stuff happening. Anyone else having that? I noticed that my ears itch often, specifically due to in regard to the side, but it's more of almost a tingly thing that's happening when there's an energy that's kind of communicating with me. It's just something that, it's almost as if my physical ears are trying to hear them speak. I don't know if that's what helps you at all. Um, Faye says, "Nah, hugs for your blah, for your blah." Hey, Jackie, welcome. Faye's Mystic Faith, hello, and Pamela and Soul Family, great to be here with you all. Happy 2023. What a trip! I mean, what an awesome time to be alive. It's such a privilege participating in this collective ascension. Yes, it really is. It's such a cool time right now. So much is happening, and it's just picking up pace. One of the things that I'm really noticing that I'm struggling with, and I'm assuming all of you are doing something similar too, is that I'm really having a hard time with time management right now, like a really hard time, and as we're moving through, it's written in biblical text, it's written in other ancient texts and stuff. It mentions the experience of the shortening of days, time speeding up, time slippage, that kind of thing. And I'm finding a lot of difficulty with that right now at this time. Just, um, and then engaging in an activity, a lot of times I'll be doing that thing and then it activates a download of some kind. And I jump down a rabbit hole while I'm there, while holding the book that I'm supposed to be reading or whatever it is, and not actually reading it. And this happens to me a lot right now. Just a lot of information coming through. Faye's Mystic Faith, despite the symptoms. Yes, the symptoms have really increased lately. It's been amazing. Jenny, this community makes me feel better. I feel understood, like it's a family. Yes, I have the same sensation. Welcome, Jenny. I'm glad to see you. We have just such a beautiful little, it's amazing the bond that we have with with everyone that's here. Thank you all for coming and being a part of this experience with us. Like, I don't recall a time feeling so unconditionally loved and understood, and that's a collective experience for all of us. Like, we get to come in here with any kind of, without any kind of concern of judgment or anything like that. It's still so beautiful. um, Bob says, have felt drained for a while now. Yeah, it's been happening for a bit, though it seems like there's an intensity to the exhaustion right now. It's and it's different. Like, just all of a sudden shutting off like that. I don't do that. I'm not somebody who just, you know, goes to sleep. And I have been having that like narcolepsy like experience where I'm literally kind of doing something and I sit down and I'm done for 10 minutes. I'm gone. Um, RT Home. Hi, Pamela. Thanks for another video. Hi, Jeff. And also, by the way, I have just recorded another video. That's another thing to do with time management. I apologize for my delay on that. I've been creating videos and then more downloads are happening. And so then it feels like the video that I had recorded that I meant to edit that day was no longer in the moment. There was more to say. And so that's what my problem's been. So the one I just did, I'm going to just put it out there. That should be by the next day or two. Faith says, Jenny, yes, I am so thankful for our family. I'm so happy that you all have such a beautiful experience like I do here. Jackie says, grateful for this circle of peeps. Details and art tattoo. Time is speeding up for sure. It really is. There's been an experience, like for the vast majority of my life, there's been this understanding that as you get older, time is experienced quicker. And I just realized not too long ago that perhaps instead we've all been experiencing time speeding up at the same time, and our only justification or scientific, I don't know, logical explanation for such a thing is that happens when you grow up. And so time has been going. There's I think it's Matthew 22:24 is what talks about the shortening of days, which I think is really fascinating. That's in the Bible too. They talk about, it's like the awakening ones are going to notice it. And in that same book, right before it talks about how you're going to hear rumors of things, rumors of tragedy and difficulty globally and stuff like that, though it's only rumors, that it's not actually your experience. And I find that to be true as well. That's where I found that thing about shortening in days in the Bible, is that I was looking that up. I kept hearing it, and that's the experience that we're having. That's partly why I am moderately committed to not watching the news, is that that's an experience that's happening someplace else. And I don't mean like I'm not interested in something that's truly happening for individuals. I'm simply not pulling it into my reality. And when I don't reach out to pull it into my reality, it doesn't actually occur in my town, in my space, in my world. It's that manifestation power. And in that, by the way, the sacral chakra, the blocking of the sacral chakra occurs during spaces of guilt. Guilt tends to block that for us. And so a lot of us understand the spectrum of fear and love, God being the most perfect and pure love ever. And then the opposite of that spectrum is fear. Fear is an illusion. It's distortion attempting to create an unbalanced experience. And near to fear in that spectrum is guilt and shame and things like that. And this feels like very random that I brought this up, but I felt nudged to say this today. So for any of you that will benefit from that, any type of forgiving self, removal of guilt that you can do at this time for yourself will be hugely beneficial. I didn't understand that at the beginning, and I didn't truly understand that I wasn't fully able to access my heart chakra until I did that. When I forgive people, I'm really good at that, and I'm sure all of you are too. I always tended to take some type of responsibility onto myself in order to then allow them to be forgiven. And by doing that, these micro pieces of unforgiveness of self started to pile up. And going through these self-forgiveness meditations, this shadow work, where we go into the womb of Mother Earth, or the depths of the basement, whatever it is, the visualization that you're using. There are many guided meditations for this. Then in that space, we interact, we meet these energies represented by some type of visual aspect. A lot of us see our inner child, our child self. That's another way to say shadow work, by the way, is inner child work. And when we do that and remove that guilt, pardon me, and give that self-forgiveness, then all experiences are opened up. And then the manifestation power that you've been given is fully able to be utilized in that space. It's really cool. Faith says, I call the narcolepsy thing is what I refer to as getting drawn under. Oh, interesting. Details and tattoo, art and tattoo. Oh my God, the dreams feel like jumping in one avatar to another. Yes, crystal clear. The experience with dream time right now is so crazy, right? It's been amazingly crazy. And a lot of us are having like sleeping, walking in our sleep, or we're waking up. We don't have to be walking in our sleep often. We're waking up fully engaged in something, and there's often an experience where there's multiple energies around us, like in a committee meeting or some type of thing like that. That's happening to a lot of us. Chakaranda Marie, welcome. So good to see you. Hey, sister, and all here. Happy 2023. Woo, woo, what a beautiful time to be in. Faith Mystic Faith. Thank you. Got the message. You're welcome. Karen says, Janie, I had that done. Not pleasant experience, but well worth it. Still good years later. I think I missed a comment from Janie. I'm sorry, Janie. In the sky, hello. Sometimes there are moments where I see, feel, and sense extreme amounts of dark energy that want to fully explode out from me and feel like I physically won't survive that. Could this happen? Um, I do understand what you're talking about. I've had similar experiences before. So it's twofold. First of all, it is actually what we were kind of talking about a little bit earlier, where the things that need to be healed and released from ourselves come up, and they're not meant. Their intention to coming up isn't to taunt us, to cause us harm, or anything like that. It's simply, as these things come up, they all they need is to be seen. And once they're acknowledged that they exist, that we're not ignoring them and shoving them away, that they really happened, and without judgment, we don't have to take them onto ourselves. We don't have to do any of these types of things. All we do is just, you existed, and that's a fact. And now I'm going to release you with love. And this is the guidance given to me over and over again by Archangel Michael. At first, it felt kind of a little bit like I was, it just, he wouldn't stop about it. And I'm finding that is the link to for a lot of people's experience back into the place of hope, back into the place of empowerment. And also, the other part of that is that when we are doing this, it's important to remember that we are sending love to it as we're sending it out. A lot of times, the other thing is true at the same time, is that these darknesses, these shadowy kind of experiences, are coming to us as the light that you are. I mean, think about it. How many individuals go to the light and they're saying, go to you, like go to in the sky. And because you are the light. And so sending that love and giving it an avenue, a space to move on and up, you'll be surprised. The scariness of it, I found for myself, is, and this everybody's experience is different. This is my experience. I find that it changes from that scary thing right before they leave. It changes into a more a loving kind of embodiment, and sending out gratitude of thanks, like, wow, thank you, you've released me, almost, and maybe not even just almost, but exactly that. And so that's something to consider. Send love to it. The other thing is, a lot of energies here on this planet before this time were taking up the new way of dialogue, and that is speaking with fear. And all emotions are based in two spaces: love or fear, right? And so when anger is spoken, that is fear. And so if someone is speaking in anger, in fear, a lot of people have conditioned themselves to respond with fear and speak the local language. And now we're in this space where we're remembering our language, and our language is love, and it's so much stronger and more powerful than anything else. And so that is something to consider. And knowing that you are protected, you are in a place where you are not going to be harmed, that you will be completely safe. Even just saying that makes it so. The doubt in that is often the time that we're kind of breaking down our love bubble space, if that makes any sense. And then Jenny, I think she's talking specifically to somebody else. So I'm going to let them have that privacy. Tabitha says, hi, I'm so glad to be here. Welcome, Tabitha. Faith also says something to somebody. Janie says, Karen, I believe it's, okay, that's for somebody else. Margaret, can anyone notice the night sky looks like fog, not blue? Yes, not blue. Hard to explain where I live here in Sydney, Australia. Yes, and I don't live there. I live in the northwest of America, and on the west coast. And I've been noticing that too. We're in a place where I'm inland enough that we do get snow. However, the sky has been, and not just the sky, the clouds are different, the sun is different, everything up there is different. A lot of us have been talking about that over the past couple of days. It's fascinating. That's also happening all the way over there. That's very, very telling. Karen says, I was put out as they had to rebuild the inside walls overnight thing for me. I don't understand that reference. I probably missed out on something. I'm sorry. Janie says, Pamela, I need sinus surgery and dealing with anxiety and depression. Need medication. I'm sorry to hear that. The depression stuff, a lot of us are having that kind of experience. It's helpful to know. I had a lot of that too. That's a background I had too. And it's easy to feel depressed, especially in the time when you feel by yourself, when you feel alone in this stuff that's going on, which is why we started doing the Zoom meetings to begin with, just to kind of let there be a space where we can connect and not feel so alone and feel so peculiar and crazy even, where people are speaking your truth. It's 2:22, by the way. And so as we do that, we can let these things come forward and also out and up. I don't know any other way that helped me truly, except for just letting this stuff come through and sending love to it. I'm really sorry you have to have surgery. There's a lot of sinus related stuff happening for a lot of people. This is the first time I've heard surgery as a thing, though. The sinus stuff that's happening for people right now, it's like we feel almost like we've moved into like you're in an airplane, and that whole, like, your ears need to pop or whatever, and just that pressure. We were doing a healing not too long ago, and a group healing. It was a meditation that turned into a healing, and I was able to see the parasites. It was a parasite one, and I was able to see the parasites energy of everybody present, and everybody had parasites specifically in the triangle space here. I was really surprised. And so that was where I sent the light and the love. And that's just something that may help you. I don't know, to know that you're not alone in that. Anxiety, often too, we feel that when we're feeling other people waking up, as well as going through the period of your own dark night of the soul. It depends on where you are in your awakening. My suggestion, to join us tomorrow or anytime that you can, and allow yourself to be in a space. At the end of each one of those calls, we always take a couple of minutes to do a quick healing, just a group healing where we send out this love light to each other. It's very impactful. So it's something to consider. Excuse me. I'm having a lot of lung stuff today. Tan says, happy to catch you from New Zealand. Welcome. Jackie, the sky clouds are magical. You're noticing it too. Cool. Jacaranda Marie, I'm really noticing a lot of colored auras around. Yes, around lights right now. Also, many faces in the clouds. The auras have changed. My ability to perceive the auras has really gotten intense. I do notice. So for any of you who are working on this skill of just, knowing this, you have this experience that you can work with, it helps in dimmed light to see the aura. That's something that's just something that you can use as a way of practicing it. Once we know how to do it, it's just like riding a bike. Once you figure out how to balance, then you got it, and so that's something to consider. Nova says, yes, beautiful sky action, clouds, sunrise, sunset, moonrise, and sets. Venus, etc. Oh, by the way, thank you for bringing up the planets. There is an amazing. It's called a parade. I think it's a parade. It's not quite an alignment because the alignment is actually a curve. It's like a perfect bow. The alignment includes, I believe, 5 planets, if I'm not mistaken, and then also all the way up to the sun. Um, and I can't remember which planets they are right now exactly, but that's really, and that's happening. That's, we're moving into that alignment space right now. But I believe it peaks like the 11th, which would be really cool. Yesterday was a portal, and I always forget that I forget that 1-1 is a portal till it's over. So the energy yesterday was a lot stronger. And then we can also utilize the energy on 111 in the same kind of way. So just keeping that in mind as that's coming through, open yourself. If you, when you open yourself up, we can visualize ourselves like a flower, I suppose, and just kind of blooming, and that allowing whatever kind of density struggles that we're having, that kind of stuff is things that wants to go too. It really does. And so as we bloom open, we allow that release to occur. And as that release, I notice it coming from like my trunk basically. And as the stuff releases and goes out into wherever it's going, at the same time breathing in the light through a crown chakra or a heart chakra. Often we're guided to whatever whatever chakra our light needs to move into. So just keep that in mind. Coming up on the 11th, that will assist you to move that through. Um, um, Jacqueline and Marie, lots of random rainbow spots too. Yeah, I've been seeing a ring of rainbow around the sun pretty much every time I look at the sun. And that's been happening for a while, though. It's now there's like double rainbows around it. It's everything is moving into this curve sphere kind of space, which is kind of interesting. Um, Nova says smiles, love rainbow. Saw a couple of vertical ones in 2018. First and only time. Wow, that's really cool. Jeannie, I have to work, and sorry I will miss the Zoom meeting tomorrow. I'm sorry. Well, we'll also have one on Friday. For anyone who isn't interested, I also do one-on-one sessions for $22 an hour. If that's something that interests you and it could be in more convenient time, I'm available for that. My email is in the description of this video if you're interested in doing that. And also, thank you for the donations. That was really beautiful. It's amazing. It works out every time where we're in a little bit of a tight space. Someone gives us a donation of just enough of what we need to get to what we need to. So I thank you so much. My gratitude is just, I thank you. Thank you. In the sky, thoughts on numbers. I see lots of 2s, 4s, and 6s specifically, also 9s, to the point where it gets creepy, like where I can deny it. I can't deny it. Songs and signs talking to me a lot. Yes. And we call that synchronicities. That's very encompassing, the word synchronicities. It can apply to a lot of different things. It is the word used instead of the word coincidence. Coincidence takes away the importance of it. A lot of us early on noticing synchronicities will delve into a variety of different ways of finding out what those numbers, the series of numbers specifically means. There are different resources where you can look it up, though the answer is, and it always is, and it's coming through really strong to say, when you see a synchronicity, apart from what numbers it may be, which is another layer of information that you can choose to delve into if you'd like, the base of that seeing a series of numbers is I love you, coming from the angels, the archangels, the higher realms, coming from those in support of you, the light team that is your team. And as they come through, encouragement and love is sent, and they just want to let you know. And so that's what that is. Also, a variety of other ways too. Pardon my cough today. It's that time of year. That is something to be said. Sometimes a cold is just a cold, though. Who's to say that the colds that we've had this whole time? I don't know. However, there's some stuff going on right now. Um, Other things that come through for us too is like seeing feathers in your path. That's one that I've noticed since I was a child, and a feather will appear when it's like an encouragement of you're going the right way or you're making the right decision. Because often I'm almost always thinking of making a decision at the time that I see a feather, and that's really useful and helpful. So those types of things for sure. And the songs to finish that answering your question in the sky. Um, there's this experience that I have all the time, and the way I can tell that it's a message from Archangel Sandalphon is that it's part of a song, and so it's like a broken record stuck on a very short loop. There'll be a part of a song, and it's just coming and coming and coming until I'm able to fully express or fully understand like the message or hear it for the message that it is rather. And so that's something else to consider. um, that's really cool. One resource I do use is Willow Soul. It's a cool website to find out different meanings of synchronicity specific numbers, and so I put that up there just now in the chat for anyone who's interested. That's one that I used to use a lot. It really helped me. So um, and I think okay, RT Home. Hi Jeff. Can I ask about your backdrop and its meaning? Yeah, of course. So I see this as a spell of love because the top the this is the word for God, and this down here is the word for Jesus. Um, the translation of how to pronounce it, and whether or not the the J or the Y was used is up for debate for a lot of individuals. Though what I've just been told is Yahuwah and Yahushua is the pronunciation. Though I really feel the strong understanding that they don't really care how we pronounce their names. It's the resonance of saying what you mean when you're talking to that individual. So, yeah, and so it's just putting love into the house. Ben Savage says, we all have healing power in our own hands. Yes, rub them together and place over your heart chakra instead of looking outside for help 24/7. Yeah. And other ways too. That is the best way to meditate, 100%. When we touch our heart, just touch your heart. You don't often I find balance is important. So if I'm going to touch my heart, I try to do both. Um, and then as we touch that experience, we open that place up. We're letting our heart know that we're talking with it. We're speaking through it. We're listening through it. Our brains are awesome, though. What I understand now of it is the brain is really a filter of information. It's a conduit of information. It's not intended to be a storage facility for information, and that our heart, um, and up until not too long ago in the timeline of humanity, has often been understood as the high organism, the one that is the thinker, basically, instead of the brain. And so um, yeah, to engage your heart will really help you, as well as any other place on your body. um, that's why we automatically will touch a place when we hurt ourselves. Like that's like what why else would you do that if you think about it, right? And when we're doing that, we're sending that healing, that love. As a parent, you're kissing your child's wounds, you're healing it. We already have those abilities. It's simply understanding the strength of what you can do. Once you understand it and confidence of some kind is brought forward, the ability that moves through is amazing. Like these kiddos that have watched that movie Tangled and sing the healing song, they believing and knowing that it will work. I've watched it work. And it's simply that they understand, they have the confidence. And try it out. I totally agree. Thanks, Ben. Tanya says, I've noticed the sun is not just sending out light, but it is like coming in with pulsing threads. Like I can see the frequency of the light. Yes, that's been a reporting thing for a while now. It's been really fun. Some people have caught it on camera. Hey, it's 234. It's some people have caught it on camera where it's pulsating, like the sun is like, woo, woo, and they're not moving. There's not any kind of clouds in the way. There's no way to explain it away. It's fun to see somebody caught it on video. I've not done that, but I've seen it too. It's definitely changing. There is a lot to do with the sun in a lot of the experience we're having. Whenever we get solar flares, that is when the ascension symptoms spike. Like you get more energy coming in that you're. I used to. The reason I started to even follow the solar flares to begin with was I realized that when my ears would ring a certain way, that meant we were getting a solar flare. When they would ring a different kind of way, that meant we were getting a spike in the Schumann resonance. So I started to follow those things, and it was just very validating. So, yes, I've been noticing it too. Margaret says telepathy is becoming very strong lately, especially with people near us. Also, telepathically see a picture of what the other person is seeing. Yeah, that coming online can be. So also knowing that when we're experiencing somebody else, at least for me, everyone's different. I don't experience somebody that's not already presenting information to me. And so I don't know if that's true for everybody. Though if someone's beginning to speak or has prepared themselves to speak and we're ready to, maybe someone else started to speak instead. That information is sent out with that projection of information, that intention. And so we are given the parcel that comes along with the story that they tell. So we have some of the sensations, some of the visual stuff, it all comes in. And when that happens, that exchange of information and seeing through that person's experience, I'll be doing it for that reason. So I'll see through someone else's eyes while they're trying to figure out a way to describe what they're seeing, for instance. That's just my experience. That's coming online a lot more, seeing other things. Where we were vibrating here, which is a freaking awesome place to vibrate. We used to vibrate down here, right? And now something's happened where we started to vibrate a higher level. And so not only can we perceive what's here, but now we can perceive what's up here. And the way that I've noticed that we change in our vibration is we do this kind of a thing. It's like we go up and back, we're just kind of slowly making our way to that space. And so this part, when you're going just close to it and back down again, that's when I'm noticing things coming into my visual experience and then fading out again. And for a while, I thought that I was having visual issues, perhaps needing glasses or something like that. And then I began to see that what was coming in and out of focus was stuff that other people around me couldn't see. So that was very interesting. Jackie says, my friend woke up in the middle of the night and saw rings around them, around the sun and the moon. Interesting. Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, rings around the moon, I meant. That's really cool. I love seeing the rings around the moon. And they always tend to be of rainbow experience these days too. So cool. Tanya says, the one on one is amazing. I loved it and recommend it. Oh, thank you, Tanya. They were a lovely meeting that we had. Janie, yes, I see the numbers also. Jackie, yes, so many number synchronicities. Ben, I had it explained to me while sleeping that 666 equals balance. I feel the same way. That number comes up a lot for good things. And for instance, there's a memory of an experience where there were 666,000 pyramids on this planet. I remember that. I don't know why that is. And then I watched this audiobook on YouTube, the Pyramid Code, and they brought it up in there. And so I don't know. I find that fascinating. There seems to be that number comes up when there's a perfect balance. It always does. It seems so. Vicky says, Pamela, have burst of energy drained and weakness for 10 minutes, then passes. Anyone else going through this? Yeah, that's I kind of was talking about that a little bit earlier. And in those moments, I find myself like narcoleptic, where I've just falling asleep out of the blue. Like I'm in the middle of something and then I'm just gone. And it's only for, again, about 10 minutes, exactly what I said too, where and then 10 minutes later, I'm good. It's fascinating. In the Sky says, thank you. You're welcome. Jacqueline Marie. Excuse me, guys. Jacqueline Marie says, I get random songs too. that I haven't listened to in forever. Yes, yesterday was Mother and Child Reunion, and I looked up the lyrics and was surprised. So poignant. Yeah, that's something else. When those songs come through, I have found that it doesn't stop until it's supposed to go where it's supposed to go, right? And so sometimes it's coming through until I look at the song, I go find the song and listen to it. Sometimes it takes until I realize what it's actually trying to tell me. And then again, other times it's not until I share it with the right person. It's as if I've become like the delivery person for this individual's message. Um, and by doing so, we both benefit in some way. It's really interesting. Just play along with it. The one that I kept getting over and over again was in that I haven't watched that movie Aladdin in years, the cartoon, and A Whole New World. Don't you dare close your eyes. Like, and that was just over and over again. Here we are. We're in a new world. Don't look away. And at the same time, I kept getting a lot of messages about looking up, where so many of us are looking down. We're looking down at our phones, down at our tablets, down, 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 and not looking up. There's so much to see right now. And by the way, in the night sky is changing, where you can see whole new planets at night. This is a fun experiment that I've been doing, is that I tend to prefer to meditate outside, even when it's 10 degrees. It's just the best place for me to be. I just feel I'm far enough away from all the Wi-Fi in this apartment building, and it makes it so I can be at more peace. And in that, when the meditation is over, I'll still be at rest in some way. You know how we do as we come back out of meditation. And I remember always to look up. And when I do, I get to see planets that I didn't know were there. I've heard about those planets. My daughter even tells me about those planets, though I never got to see them before, and I'm starting to see them now. Something fun to try. Nova says, oh, I think she's sending it to someone in particular, so I'll let her have her privacy. In the sky, oh wait, Jenny says, we just watched Tangled yesterday. I resonate with Disney's version of Rapunzel. Yeah, that's a cute movie. And there's a lot of important lessons that are being sent down. It's kind of fun to see them pop up, like the movie Soul. I don't know how many of you have heard of that movie. It's a Pixar movie. It's the closest depiction of a more correct information platform regarding those types of things than I've seen, specifically for children. There are other places where we're seeing this stuff. For instance, Frozen is telling us, when she was in a place of fear and not in a place of love, then her magic went crazy and it was out of control. And all she needed to do was to go back to the love, and just so on and so forth. There's a lot of cool things out there. The Spirit Rangers is another one that just came out that I'm really happy that they have that kind of thing available. Things are changing for us across the board. And this guy says, watch the documentary if you haven't seen it yet. My Octopus Teacher. Very connecting for one's soul to the earth and animals. Thank you. My Octopus Teacher. There's a lot about octopus coming in right now. That's why you've got my attention completely. So I'm going to watch that. My Octopus Teacher. Totally going to do that. Thank you very much for sharing. That's so cool how that always happens. Whatever it is that you need, it comes in for you. I'm just going to put that name here again for anyone else who's interested. Jacques Armando Marie says, also experiencing increase in manifestations and speed that they arrive. Yes. Do you think the increased energies are helping with that? Or is it the rise in one's own frequency? Maybe both. Yes, both. So we're in a place where the ground is fertile for it. And then we're also in a place in our own energetic sphere, our own body space, where we can access that. Again, going back to this, working through the self-forgiveness, expelling of the guilt. As we do that, we unblock that space of our chakral experience. There were a couple of really strong channeled messages that came through for me that I posted. I used to post a lot of channeled messages, and it didn't seem to get that much interest, and so I don't do it that often. I'll still just write them down though. Anyway, as this information was coming through, it was talking about the manifestation accelerating and teaching us that as we're in this manifestation awakening, truly is what it is, to remind yourself what you're thinking about. A lot of us, I did it all the time, and I still have to work on not doing it. A lot of us, what we'll do is we'll consider the worst case scenario so we can prepare for it. And then often thinking about the worst case scenario multiple times. And so, though we may be saying in some other way, this is what I want, this is the repeat message. And that repeat message happens a lot of times, not always. And so just to consider that, keep that in mind. You know, what am I asking the universe for truly? And that's the stay in that positive thought, stay in that place as much as you can of gratitude, of appreciation and love. The more grateful that I am, the more the manifestation that I'm asking for happens. And the universe, whatever you want to call the experience that's happening and coming through, understands my request a little more clearly. Saying things like, I'm healing through this thing, instead of declaring some kind of illness, also really assists. Also, just the wording that we say, talking about how abundant that you are, you become that. Manifestation, there seems like there's a lot of tricks to it, but there really isn't. It's simply, what do you really want? You ask it with your heart, like was mentioned before. The heart, how important and strong the heart really is. Something to consider. So yes, it's really cool. Jackie says, yes, I agree. Your one-on-one was beautiful. I'd love another. Oh, thank you, Jackie. That was beautiful. Cool Deep says, I've been wanting a one-on-one with you. We will have to set it up. Yeah, I would love that. Thank you. That would be fun. And this guy says 66 books in the Bible too. Interesting. Huh. I didn't know that. Also, along with the 666,000 pyramids, the vast majority of those pyramids were removed. That's a memory that experience that I had for it, and that was validated in that everybody has information that can be. We use our own spiritual discernment, right? And so as we're listening to something or reading something or hearing whatever it is, engaging in some way, remember that if it doesn't resonate, then that part doesn't apply to you. I've learned that I've found a lot of great stuff in places where I left a lot of their stuff behind too and didn't decide to take it. It's a big buffet and we're only taking the stuff and putting the stuff on our plate that we want. And so some of the stuff that came through that, it felt a little, I don't know, but some of the things were so validating that I found that to be really fascinating. And in that, I understood that the number 8 meant human, and they brought it up in that also. So I thought that was really cool. Ben says, I just realized that this is Q&A, and I don't have any questions. Whoops. Oh, that's all right. Statements, it's validating each other. I'm very happy that you're here. Jenny, I love Soul. Yeah, it's such a good movie. It's the beginning of many, where these kids are being given tools, access to information that a lot of us are having to actively seek out. It's in their nursery rhymes now, It's so cool. Vicky says, yes, we have been seeing it also. Cool. I might have answers though. Yeah, good. Awesome. Answer away, Ben. Ben says, keep being yourselves, and vibration will raise naturally as we step into our true selves, our true expression, whatever that looks like. No shame or guilt. Yes. And he also says, peace to you, lovely people. Going to prepare food with love as main ingredient. Awesome. That's something else too that you brought up, Ben. Thank you for saying that, is that when we are creating our food, whatever it is we're going to put into our body, doing that in a space of love, knowing that you're cleaning the energy with your love, really helps it. It doesn't mean that the food that was handled was handled by people who had some kind of malicious intent. Though if that individual was a disgruntled employee or something was going on or whatever they're experiencing while they're picking up the food and moving it or preparing it in whatever way, that's going to imbue it with that energy. And so I find it's important to prepare it sending love to it. How do I do that? In a lot of different ways. The main way is that I'll pull down light into the palms of my hands, and thanks. And then I'll take that. I can feel the weight of it, the light in my hands, the love, and then turn the hands over the food or the ingredients of the food or whatever, and to send that love into it. And watching, you can feel it. I can actually feel it on the desk in front of me, that you can feel as you push that love into it, then what isn't of love kind of catches up here into the palm, and then give it back up and let it go. You can do it as many times as you want. I tend to do it at least 2 or 3 times. And I do that in, if it's a meal already prepared, usually. Otherwise, as I'm taking each ingredient, I'm like, I'm giving it love and saying loving things to it. We're creating holy water in a bath when we say loving things to it. You're creating, you're giving love, you're imbuing it with that power. And so that's something to be aware of. That's why the food tastes so much better when you are engaged in so many steps. In the sky, soul, 9 days, everything all at once, everywhere. My octopus teacher, Avatar 1 and 2, all great movies with soul and emotion. Thank you. 9 days, I don't know that one. I'll have to check that out. I haven't seen Avatar 2 yet. I'm pretty sure it's still in theaters. When it's released, I'll definitely check it out. Nova says, "Hi Pamela, I appreciate you creating a forum for star seeds to connect on Zoom. New Year blessings. Thank you, and I appreciate you too, all of you. The reason that this exists is because of you. It's a vessel for us all to get together and to find that space to move through back to that harmonious love energy." Tan says, "Do you know about the clarion call in Bible?" I think I'm very vaguely familiar. I'm not as versed as a lot of people. I became very rebellious against religion as a child. I'm past that baggage, though. I've only picked up some of the information. You can clarify further if you'd like. Otherwise, I'll definitely check into it. Colin says, "How do you escape the following catch-22? You have a block on asking for help from people or higher beings. So how do you ask for help, asking for help when you're blocked from asking for help?" That's a really good question. I had the same thing, and for me, that was the only answer. It doesn't sound like the most fun response you could get, but I simply just had to do it, in little things. Instead of, I guess what I did at first, I accepted help without making a big deal about it. And yeah, it was hard for me. Like there was that struggle of like whatever it was that I was going through. And and then after accepting help, it could have not even been a big something that person even noticed. It was so small. For me, it was a big deal. The more that I did that, the easier it was. And then I began to be able to ask, and to raise my hand. That's the biggest thing. It's not so much saying I need help. It's or from you, or I need your help or your help or your help. It's to say it, and you just did. You started it just now, and that was really probably not very easy. And so, Colin, I thank you for doing that. The power that you've shown me over the past couple of weeks since you've joined our groups has been amazing. Thank you for being the example. And so, if anybody else has a better suggestion for him, I just knew that I had to move through some of it to start it, and the more that I found self forgiveness, the more I was able to um, see that I deserved something, like that I wasn't so below being able to accept something from somebody else, and that understanding as well that when I allowed someone else to help me, I was giving them a gift, because I know how great it feels for me when I get to help somebody. For me, it's basically a drug. Helping someone else, the intrinsic value that I receive from that is amazing. And I realized also that if I am not allowing other people to give that to me, then I'm kind of screwing them out of that too. And so I don't know. I guess I convinced myself to do it in that way. Colin also says, I just jumped up from a meditation session, was inspired. Awesome. I'm really happy that you were able to join us. Um, as this sensation, oh, the thirst is so profound right now, and there's a reason for that. A lot of us really truly need the water, to increase the water intake, and not just the water. Um, Also, it's really important to, like, I think Corey brought it up a few meetings ago. um, it's really important to consider other types of liquids too, like juices or teas or whatever. Whatever you're called to. I'm finding that water is really useful, and I'm drinking a lot more of it, though I've got this increase in other things. I'm juicing things, and that's leading into these interesting fasting periods where I'm going for quite some time without eating solid food. And it's not really intentional, so it's called unplanned fasting. It's simply I'm really thirsty for juice or water or tea, and that's enough for my appetite at the time. So it's something to you're not alone in that. That's happening for a lot of people. Pardon me. Excuse me, everyone. I'm sorry about this cough. Jacques Rana Marie says, yes, let's take care of each other. It's an honor to do so as we connect to each other in this way. When we uplift the other, we're uplifting self. And that used to be a bumper sticker in my head, like it was that kind of a thing. It really wasn't. Though I've got to a place in my experience where now I can witness it. I truly see the exchange of that energy, the balance that comes through in that. We find an elevated experience for all. Your biosphere is a space, a bubble around you, and it moves out and out and out. And as we move through this bubble, we have all of these layers that we're connecting with other energies. And when we improve that energy, that space, it's improving the experience that we receive back. That's why they say, whatever you give out, you receive. Usually they say tenfold, though I have to say, over the past, especially the past, I'd say 3 or 4 months, the amount of energy, that beautiful energy that I've been receiving, has been amplified to almost sometimes 100 times what I've been given out. It might be um, partly that I don't feel like my service was as big of a deal as maybe the others did, though the impact that it changes the way that my whole thing is, my whole experience is. So Gary, welcome. Hello. Um, Janie says, I have more than one drink at a time, same time. Bone broth, hot tea, water, iced tea. Yeah, I usually do too. I've gotten in the habit that when I do the Zoom meetings, I usually have 3 cups. Like I'll have tea, I'll have water, and I'll have juice. And that's just kind of my MO. And um it's I usually will be done with all 3 of them when it's time for the meeting to end. It's kind of interesting. So just, whatever's your body's craving. That's another thing too, is your body will be craving a lot of things that maybe isn't typical for you. And then the increase in the allergies to food. That I've been watching that increase, and every time I say it, it feels like it's a new thing because it's picked up pace in some way. There's more of it. A lot of people are suddenly having these allergies to all kinds of things. I noticed last winter, I think it was, maybe it was 2 winters ago, I started to feel like I was poisoned. I had an experience in an earlier part of my life where I had been, and I was feeling the same kind of body experience. Maybe not as exaggerated as it was back then, and it took a little while for me to realize that what I was actually experiencing had to do with anything that was contained in metal cans. And not just metal cans after a while, then it was anything that had a metal lid. Like some of the containers you can get have some metal. And for me, there was something in the metal that my body wasn't okay with, and it was causing some severe allergic response. So it's us just figuring out what it is that our bodies no longer jive with anymore, and so trust your body, listen to your body. Your body's trying to tell you. So keep that in mind. Um, Chakaranda Marie, yes, it says JD. Cosmic H, heartbeat. Cosmic heartbeat. Sorry, I said that wrong. I like that name. Energy is so intense for me. Uh, uh, I feel bigger than my body going through some huge stress, and I feel everyone's energy, even from things in the room. Yeah, and the feeling taller, feeling bigger, feeling that experience a lot of times for me is a guide to ground. By the way, that's something to keep in mind. Grounding can be as simple as uh, taking just a moment to be in kind of a meditation, and that's simply I'm breathing with my eyes closed for a minute, and I'm breathing through my nose and out through my mouth. And while I'm doing that, I acknowledge the light that's coming down from God, from Source, down through one of my chakras, often the crown chakra, and that's assisting by sending roots, like they look like the roots of a plant or a tree coming down at from the bottoms of my feet or whatever's touching the closest thing to the ground. And that will assist in the grounding experience. I'll find sometimes when I'm in the store, I'll just root. There's a lot of energy, especially when you find yourself at one of these shops during the Christmas season. Holy cow, the energies around us that you talked about, feeling the intense energies. It's so hard to be able to be in the moment and to focus and to be, in this space. And so it really helps to let those roots go through. Also, feeling the energies around you. You don't have to be a victim of circumstance. You don't have to just accept all of this energy coming in. Um, it's a possibility for you to do it if you want to. However, what I do is so the same thing with my eyes closed and breathing in through my nose. As I'm breathing in through my nose, I witness myself breathing in this white light. Again, you're seeing the white light from Source, though this time, as it fills my body with this white light, when I breathe out through my mouth, I watch the white light expanding as a bubble around me, and it expands and grows with every breath. It's kind of fun to do. I've expanded it all the way to the you know down the block, a few blocks, and I just the bigger you make it, the more awesome it is. You can do it while you're in a car. It can move with your car. Um, this is kind of like a filter or a buffer of energy. As this happens, um, you don't. It kind of it doesn't really stop the negative stuff so much as it gives the negative's even not even the right word, but unpleasant energy. It's giving it the love that it needs to do what it needs to do, and so you're helping that individual and also not having to absorb it like the sponge that we are as empaths and light warriors. Um, and Kuldeep says, I have this song playing in my head. Mary was her name. Oh, Mary was her name. Oh. That's awesome. There must be something really important with that. That's cool but I don't know the song. Huh. I don't know. It's really interesting. Cosmic Heartbeat. I can feel the light. I'm so glad you can feel the light. I can too. All of us have the access to that. And that's probably the most important thing to kind of take away from all of this is to remember that not only are you not alone, but you are powerful, that you have the power to connect to all of this stuff. We had been misled for many, many years, thinking that there had to be an intermediary, a bishop, a rabbi, a priest, some spiritual energy individual that could send our messages to God and then tell you what the response is, basically, right? And that's you're directly connected to God. We all are. And to connect with God in that place of meditation, opening yourself up to the information that comes through, that it changes all experience. It gives you the understanding that you are a confident being, a sovereign being of light, and are able to do so many beautiful things. If you are available and you're interested, I ask that you do try to reach out and join our Zoom meetings if you feel inclined. Again, you don't have to have your screen or your camera on. You can, if you want to engage in conversation by chatting in the text box and I'll read it for you, that's cool. If you don't want to, that's fine too. You can just come and hang out. Um, I'll post that in about an hour onto my community section in this YouTube channel. And that meeting is tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It goes for 3 hours. And so if you are unable to show up on and when it starts, that's okay. You can come late, you can leave early. A lot of us will be doing activities, we'll be busy doing our day stuff. That's okay. There's a few individuals who joined. You see them driving, doing dishes, tidying up the house, whatever, whatever you're doing. There's no judgment. Sarah says, "Hi, beautiful souls and kindred spirits. I just got here and I'm trying to catch up. I'm happy that I was able to see you before I left. I wanted to send love to you. I'm really happy that people are coming together in this beautiful way. If you are interested in joining in our Telegram group as well, we have a free Telegram group. There's a link in the description of this. It's mildly private, so you have to have the link in order to join the group." And Joy Bliss says, "Feel my energy being drained every day and night by my haters. Anything I can do to stop that?" The love, again, the love. So as earlier, I don't know if you caught earlier, maybe you can rewind it in a minute. We were talking about how you can bring in the light by breathing in the light. With when you breathe in through your nose, you watch your breathing in the light. Your body fills up with this light, and then we breathe out the light. We watch this expanding bubble around us. That is the buffers for us to kind of rebalance. And then once this is what I do. Once I've got this bubble around me, it doesn't have to be very far around me, just be a little space. Now I'm balanced. Now I'm full up with light again, filled up with light again. At least I feel fully recharged. And now I can send love to someone else. And that love often is not something that they want. Sometimes when you send love to somebody who is in disharmony, it will cause agitation, just a little bit of a warning. So if you're doing that, I find it's best to do it at a distance. Um, and so there's no reason for them to blame you for that experience. The agitation is simply that which is not of the light within them is trying to flee. For shadow cannot stand before the brilliance of light. And that really helps. That really assists the experience. And it's funny because it's like take the higher road, right? But that's really not truly the point. It just happens to be what we do. While we send this light out, we send this love. It's it it's so much more powerful than any other experience that it dulls away all other things and then improves everybody in that experience at the same time. And so that's my suggestion to you. I don't there's a couple other methods, but simply there's another, you can look up energetic shielding. That's another method that I've heard people discuss. Carrie says the Zoom meetings are awesome. Yeah, I'm so glad that you come, Carrie. Bob says, good health, light, peace, and encouragement. Also, everyone have a wonderful, beautiful journey. Thank you, Bob. It's so good to see you. And Sarah says, and my family saw a magical moonbow last night. Cool. That was just discussed, actually. Rings around the moon. That's so cool. It's happening globally. We're seeing more and more color in the sky. Thank you all for joining. Again, I have a Zoom meeting tomorrow for anyone who's interested. And if you would rather have a one-on-one, I do offer one-on-ones. They're $22 an hour. I have a link for my email address in the description here. So if you're interested in a one-on-one, please contact me through email. Thank you so much for being here. I will be back again to do another live next Monday. I'm sending you so much love. Don't give up. We're all in this together. I love you. Goodbye.